Good evening and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Twinsburg Board of Education to order. Today is Wednesday, April 20th, and the time is 7 o'clock. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Crawford?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Mrs. Travis?
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got the pacemaker over there. Okay, good evening, Twinsburg Community Administration, students and families of Samuel Bissell Elementary and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. I'm Mark Curtis, and I'm honored to serve as your board president. I'm hopeful that all of you had a restful and enjoyable Easter holiday, spending time with your loved ones and family. And although the Easter Bunny gave us decent weather during the holiday, we are reminded this week that we do live in Ohio and winter has not yielded completely to the warm spring weather we so desperately desire. So, rumor has it, there's going to be great weather around the corner, but I will believe it when I feel it. Not see it, feel it. So, last Tuesday, actually, the board and administration met during a special meeting to continue our work with the National School Boards Association in drafting what educational equity is and means for Twinsburg City Schools. This work has been ongoing all year, and as we honor our commitment to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion is a part of our district culture for now and years to come, we're hopeful that this comes to fruition pretty soon. We will be gathering more feedback from various stakeholders throughout our community to further refine this draft in hopes of capturing the essence of what this truly means for Twinsburg. I'm extremely thankful and humbled to be able to collaborate with my colleagues and the administration around this important initiative. It's truly representative of who we are as a district and a community. Lastly, this coming Saturday morning, we will be having a pancake breakfast sponsored by the Twinsburg Blue Ribbon Schools Committee and in partnership with the Twinsburg Chamber at Dodge Intermediate School. So, come one, come all, and enjoy some delicious pancakes, sausage, and beverages. There will also be vendors and entertainment from our students throughout the day for your entertainment and enjoyment. It's all good. It's all for a good cause and in support of our kids, and we hope to see you there. This concludes my president's report. I will now turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Mrs. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, families. My husband is glad that I've lost my voice, but it's a challenge tonight for you, and I apologize. I sound so crazy. A little bit of laryngitis, and my apologies again. But Paul said, don't hurry and get your voice back. His honey-do list can wait now, I suppose. I'd like to just piggyback on Mr. Curtis's announcement about Saturday because it's a really big event. Our PTA Council has a huge part in it as well, and that is that we are going to be having a carnival. So if you come for pancakes, the kids can go to the carnival, lots of fun prizes, and even bigger than that, and this is for our parents and our residents, we will be providing tours of the inside of George G. Dodge Intermediate School. So if you've never been inside Dodge, or you haven't been inside Dodge for a very long time, this is your chance to see the reasons why we've been talking about a new building project to replace Dodge. So if you could make it, it's from 9 to 12 at George G. Dodge Intermediate School. Have some great pancakes, stop by. Many local businesses will be there as part of the Chamber's Business Expo. And of course, the kids can have fun in the gymnasium where the carnival will be. Additionally, the Dodge PTA is going to have their buy one, get one free Scholastic Book Fair that day. So if you are a family who doesn't have children at Dodge, I think is the only school that does the BOGO book fair. So this is a great time to get some summer reading books purchased. And so we just invite you. It's going to be a great community event, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. Hopefully by then my voice will be back. Who knows though? My husband hopes not, so we'll see. This evening we're going to celebrate some outstanding children from from Samuel Bissell and from R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. Just a few announcements before then. Kindergarten registration is underway. Parents of our incoming kindergarten students, otherwise known as our class of 2035, are invited to complete the initial enrollment application by going to our website under For Parents, Registration and Enrollment New Students. This page has information about registration and the documents you will need to bring to your appointment the day your child participates in kindergarten screening. This year, we'll be conducting screening appointments for new kindergarten students on Thursday, June 2nd, Friday, June 3rd, and Monday, June 6th at Wilcox Primary School. Students who are currently in our preschool programs, however, do not have to attend kindergarten screening because the teachers will screen the children in preschool before they leave at the end of May. As always, please feel free to contact Wilcox Primary School if you have questions about kindergarten registration or kindergarten screening. We just mentioned the whole Pancake Breakfast on this Saturday. That's really aligned with our Tiger Legacy project. If you haven't heard about it, lots of conversation going on in our school community about the potential for a new building project that would replace George G. Dodge Intermediate School. If you go on our district website on the home page, under the box that says highlights, there's a button, and if you press it, you'll be taken to a page that talks all about the Tiger Legacy project and the potential building project to replace Dodge Intermediate School. In there are a couple videos. There's the March and the April Twinsburg Schools Today video. One is of me, one is of Mr. Welker and our architect, and it talks about the project, what was the project about, the scope of the project, and why the project is needed. And then there's a survey that we're asking residents of our community to please take a few minutes. It's not very long, but we're looking for your feedback about this potential building project. So if you could take a few minutes, moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas and residents of our community, please visit the website, take a look at those 2 videos. There's actually a total of 5 videos, 2 of us, and then there are 3 others of staff members that have been interviewed about the building project. And then please take a few minutes to take the survey. We really do appreciate that. In June, the board is going to ask me to report out of all the engagement that we've had this second semester of the year. And this survey and the results of it are really important. And that information will go to the board, and then they'll be making some decisions as to whether or not the building project will move forward. They can't make that decision without your feedback, so we please encourage you to take a few minutes to complete the survey. And then finally, we're almost at May. Just a few more days, it's May 1st. And May is an exciting time here, especially for our class of 2022. The Board of Education yesterday afternoon had the great pleasure of interviewing 4 senior standouts for our May Twinsburg Schools Today show. Fantastic show. I'm not going to steal it. You have to watch it to see who I interviewed and what they're all about. Great students. But you know, their prom is Friday, May 6th. The Senior Scholarship and Awards dessert is Thursday, May 19th. Baccalaureate, thank you to Father Michael over at St. Cosmas and Damian Church and all of the ministers in our town. They were hosting Baccalaureate on Monday, May 23rd. And of course, commencement returns to E.J. Thomas Hall. We haven't been there in 2 years. We're so excited to get back to E.J. Thomas Hall. And that's the evening on Wednesday, May 25th, when we celebrate the class of 2022, and we wish them the very best. And on top of that, every other student in our school community has a lot of great things happening in the month of May. So hang on tight, kids. It's going to be a great month. Parents, we thank you for your support, and we, of course, early congratulate the class of 2022. Their last day at school is almost here because many of them are off to senior projects, and they'll be off campus. So it's been an interesting 2 years from them. If you watch the Twinsburg Schools Today show, you'll hear their perspectives, which quite interesting, but at the same time really positive about their experience. So I'm very proud of the 4 students that I interviewed. And that's all from my report tonight. I'd like to invite Mr. Winter, our assistant principal from Samuel Bissell Elementary School, who's going to take over the MC duties and celebrate some outstanding students from Samuel Bissell. Good evening, Mr. Winter.
Good, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So great to see everyone out here tonight to celebrate some fantastic Students of the Month for 2nd and 3rd grade at Samuel Vista Elementary School. So a little background. The Students of the Month program at Samuel Vista Elementary School recognizes outstanding student achievement at the 2nd and 3rd grade levels. The focus of this recognition program is on citizenship, academics, social, civic, volunteer, or other accomplishments that set this student apart from their peers. We would like to proudly acknowledge the positive accomplishments of the following students. And boys and girls, when I call your name, come on up. We're going to shake some hands, and we're going to get a certificate. We're going to head on over. We're going to see Mrs. Powers over there. And once you get that certificate, we're going to hold it up, and we're going to take some pictures and make some memories tonight. Okay, everyone? All right. Let's go ahead and get started in 2nd grade with Dominic Bachman from Mrs. Robles' class. Brooklyn Benich from Mrs. Springer's class. Benito Cantalamesa from Mrs. Kinsella's class. Elena Etienne Thompson from Miss Jolly's class. And this is a busy time of year. As you know, spring sports are in full swing, so we certainly understand people aren't able to make it this evening. Riley Jackson from Mrs. Doyle's class. Rose Kadiri from Miss King's class. Kenzie Krasminski from Mrs. Doyle's class. Landon McLeod from Mrs. Labus's class. Brantley Stuzinski from Mrs. Springer's class. Brantley, that's a good firm handshake. Richard Taylor from Miss King's class. And Isaiah Van Leer from Mrs. Ziska's class. Boys and girls, let's put our certificates up so our parents and grandparents and everyone who's in attendance can see them and get some pictures. There you go. I'm going to get out of the way here. Sorry. Yeah. Feel free to get on up in the middle if you want to get a shot. All right, how about another round of applause for these great 2nd graders? All right, head back to your seats. Congratulations. Sir. Thank you. Mr. Curtis? All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to 3rd grade right now. And 3rd graders will do the exact same thing as 2nd graders did. And we'll go ahead and start with Grady Batchelder from Mrs. Glavick's class. Lillian Bagala from Mrs. Langhoff's class. Nasan Bendoun from Miss Benzi's class. William Derelick from Mrs. Langhoff's class. Rami Elzarka from Mrs. Watson's class. Nevaeh Hill from Mrs. Glavick's class. Taryn Logadici from Mrs. Depew's class. I know we got a big group tonight. A lot of celebrating going on here. Hannah Martin from Miss Belinsky's class. Connor McDonough from Mrs. Rowetters' class. Caleb Misko from Miss Markham's class. And Evelyn Sakanovich from Mrs. Dorland's class. All right, boys and girls, let's go ahead and get those certificates up so we can get some good pictures here. And folks, if you want to go ahead and get in the center, that's okay. All right, how about another round of applause for these great third graders? All right, and we got one more. We know parking could be tough out there. You know, a lot of folks here. We just had another Student of the Month come on in. Rose Kadiri, come on up. Second grader, Student of the Month, come on up. Congratulations. All right, and let's, Rose, come here. You are in for a special treat. You get to get a picture with me and Mr. Curtis. So let's go over that right there. All right, congratulations. All right, just a couple quick announcements as we wrap up here. So as Mrs. Power said, May, there's a lot of great activities going on, and at Bissell, that's no different. We're so excited for our third graders to have the opportunity to go back to Dodge to tour the building. So that'll be happening the 1st of May. We haven't been able to do that in a couple years, so we're excited about that. Also, the second week of May, our second graders are going to be going on a ecological walking field trip, so we're excited about that. Hopefully the weather will hold up, certainly. We've got the third grade picnic back, which is fantastic. Kona Ice is coming. So a lot of great things happening at Samuel Bissell as we wrap up the school year. So just want to take this opportunity on behalf of Mrs. Johnson and myself. Thanks to everyone for a great year. We had an awesome year. It was a lot of fun, and still looking forward to a strong end. So thanks, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see y'all soon. everyone? Through that door, that'd be fantastic, so the RBC folks can come on in.
Well, good evening to our RBC families. We're so excited that you're here tonight. And I know that we have some outstanding students of the month to celebrate this evening. Mrs. Moore, our wonderful assistant principal at the middle school, is here to represent the administrative team. And we welcome you, and we're excited to celebrate some of our kids. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm so happy it's not snowing outside today. Yes. Okay, so RBC, we are doing some fantastic things. We have some amazing students. Glad to see everyone here. We are probably all tired because OST testing is going on. Our 8th graders have 2 more tests, but we're doing it. And we have spring sports underway, softball, baseball. About a third of our students are on the track team, which is great. They're out there running, getting exercise and competing, so that's a great thing. Our testing is going to end Friday, and we're going to celebrate with a block party. We have block parties every 2 to 3 weeks, and that's a celebration for students who have met expectations. So our block parties, where the teachers have different activities in their rooms, they're doing Pictionary, they're doing trivia, they're dancing in the lunchroom, they're playing basketball in the gyms, and a lot of outdoor activities. Hopefully the weather will be nice for us on Friday. So we're looking forward to that. The 29th, we're having a spring dance, and also it's a dance party / festival. We'll have games going on too, prizes and all of that. So we have fun coming up at the end of the month. And then next month, we are chock full of activities. We have the orchestra, choir, band concerts. We have our drama club, which is underway. And they have a play next month, I think the weekend of the 21st. And we have Cedar Point. We have a Cedar Point for the 7th graders, and we have Cedar Point for the 8th graders. And then we have field day. So we are going to be very busy in the next month. So let's get started with our students of the month, 7th grade. First of all, our criteria. Our students receiving the honor of Student of the Month are recognized for meeting all of these criteria. Shows respect and consideration for others, shows enthusiasm for academic and extracurricular activities, exerts a positive influence on classmates, exhibits leadership characteristics, exhibits patriotism and democratic principles, and shows responsibility. So we'll start with our 7th graders. Olivia Maxwell, is she here? I don't think she was going to be able to attend today. Garrett Monday. All right. Alexis Weber. And Ryan Belfort. Is Ryan here? Ryan's not here. Okay, these are our 7th grade students of the month for RBC. Okay, now we will go with our 8th graders. 8th graders, we have first Brooke Robinson. Luke Passick. Luke's not here. Doris Gold. And last but not least, Spencer Bach. And these are your RBC students of the month. Thank you, guys. And one more thing, we are in the process of applying for gold recognition once again with the state of Ohio for PBIS, which is our Positive Behavior Interventions and Support. We had visitors today from SSTA, our state representatives, and they came in and they randomly asked students what our expectations were. And our students answered our 3 expectations. We're our 7th and 8th graders. You should all know this. Respect, right? Go ahead, Doris. And, all right. So they knew their expectations, and we're going through the process. We're continuing our process, and hopefully we will once again be a gold recognition school.
Mrs. Moore, I said if there was a poster of somebody next to the word PBIS and gold standard, it would be you. Mrs. Moore is one of the very best in our school district with regard to really facilitating and fostering a really positive school environment, and your work is fabulous. So I'm quite certain that RBC will be another Gold Star winning school here in our school district because of your work and the work of all the staff that help you and all the students that you support. So when will we find out? Soon?
No, it's a process.
Soon. Okay. Well, we'll have to come back and celebrate then.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Curtis, that completes my reports for this evening.
Okay, so we are going to move on to our business portion of our meeting. So for those that do not wish to stay, You don't have
Hey, you
to,
could go too.
you don't have to wait for me. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item under E, Communications, which is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
The curriculum committee did meet, and in the interest of time, everything that we discussed is in tonight's agenda. We have some awesome books coming through, some novels for the students to read, so it is actually all on our agenda. Very nice meeting earlier this week.
Thank you, Mrs. Travis. Any other committees or other reports?
No.
Okay, and we'll move on to the administrative report. Mrs. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. This year, we want to update the Board of Education and our community about some changes to the in lieu process. For some of our families whose children do not attend our school district, but attend other schools, the Board of Education will make a determination about in lieu of payments. And some things have changed over the last year. So tonight, Mr. Welker, who is our business manager, and Mr. Mark Desmond, who is our transportation supervisor, would like to present to you some of the updates for your consideration. So Mr. Welker and Mr. Desmond.
So I'm surprised that everyone left because this is going to be the best presentation, you know. So
Riveting report.
riveting,
Sure.
riveting. Yeah.
Yes.
So we wanted to give an update on payment in lieu and also House Bill 110. There's been a lot of discussion regarding the transportation of non-public students at the state level and over the past couple of years, and a lot of that is driven on making sure that we accomplish the overall goal of providing comparable services for our non-public students just like our public students. And I think that has been a goal of Twinsburg City School District since I've been here and well before that. So a lot of the changes I think aren't really major in regards to how we try to treat our non-public students, but it gives us a little more of a framework, which Mr. Desmond's going to talk about. So without further ado, Mark, if you can talk a little bit about House Bill 110.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Powers. Some of our
Distinguished
visitors here today. As Mr. Welker said, what we like to do is make sure that all our students, no matter what school they go to, gets to school and home. Unfortunately, sometimes it is impractical and it's very hard to do. So with that being said, so some of the changes that we have with the Ohio Revised Code and House Bill 110 is districts must make a determination about payment in lieu no later than 30 days before the start of school, or if a student gets in there late after the start of school, got 14 days, and then we'll determine that. Remember that we're not determining the school impractical, but the student. A board resolution can provide authority to the superintendent, Ms. Powers, to make payment in lieu decisions. However, law requires that the Board of Education must approve the decision at the next board meeting. And also it requires the district issue a letter to parents, the non-public community school, and the state board with a detailed explanation of why a payment in lieu determination was made. So we'll go on to the next one, and this is how these 6 factors for payment in lieu from ORC. Time and distance. So these are kind of self-explanatory on what we need to explain, but remember that we only need one of these to be impractical. Doesn't have to be all 6. The time and distance piece, if it's 30 minutes or more by a timed route, there is no payment in lieu and no transportation. Number of pupils, like I said, these are the cost. We can get that from our T reports. And as we go through these, we'll make a determination whether it's practical or not to transport. Number 6, that refers to, and I've rarely seen any districts really use this. This is taxi services, RTA services that we have to get a contract with, and So that's a little difficult to do sometimes.
I think one of the things we want to stress when we look at the 6 factors is we also take a look at talking with neighboring districts and figuring out if there's ways to consolidate some of the schools if there are lesser numbers. So we do that with a number of the non-public schools currently, and we continue to look for ways to
Right, like a
collaborate with one another.
Shared transportation kind of thing, if we can help those folks out as well. Okay, so after considering those 6 factors, the board passes a resolution declaring that transportation is impractical for each student, like I said, not the school, but the student. So, and then again, the new law allows the superintendent to make the determination, but also must be formalized by the board at the very next meeting. And this decision must be made 30 calendar days before the start of school, or like I said, 14 calendar days after a student is enrolled in each thing. So we get the names of the kids, you know, and then we'll put them on a form. We'll find out what school they go to. We'll go through the whole process and see where they're at. Told you this was going to be exciting. Okay, the easy one here is the acceptance. If the parent accepts the payment in lieu, the ODE, between 50 and 100% of ODE's average cost. So that cost at the current time is, the minimum is $538.55. And double that would be the maximum. And most districts are using that minimum to move forward with around this area. It may be prorated, as usual. That hasn't really changed. District verifies the enrollment, not the attendance, makes payment at the end of the fiscal year. And districts must make payments during an active fiscal year, so I can go out on that year's T2 report that my department does for the state. And also payments do not cross into the next fiscal year. Does that make sense? Okay, now we get into the more difficult part of it with the rejection of payment in lieu. So if the parent says, no, I want transportation, see what you can do, they must contact ODE for mediation. I've been through these once in a transportation career, so a mediator comes down with the parent, and also with the new law, parents can have a school member or somebody in their absence. So then we try to mediate, and if there's no mediation, no agreement, nothing can be done, then it goes into I forgot where I was in. A hearing, yeah, okay. So if the mediation doesn't go, it goes to state board hearing, and then they may either approve or disapprove it. This takes time, and we do have to transport in the median of this. So there's no way around that. We'll have to figure something out while this hearing is going on. And once the hearing is done, their determination is permanent, unless there's some significant changes that happen in the process. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay, the hearing process, they receive the referral. They notify the parties and offer a hearing. Hearing officer will conduct a hearing and then submit a recommendation to the state board within 30 days. So there's already a month gone by. And then the state board will make a decision to affirm or deny the transportation or the payment in lieu. And like I said here, the decision is binding in subsequent years and future parties' interest, if compatible, exists, okay? All right. Returning payment for students. When a student is determined the payment in lieu is okay, there's no reason to repeat the process, so once they're in it, we don't have to go back through it. We still need to send a letter to the parents for each contract for each year, and if the parent fails to send a signed contract back, with no payment can be provided. a lot of these things we're pretty much already doing and getting in line for process, so we kind of got ahead of the project, and so we're not caught behind. So my goals are to keep everybody updated and within the accordance with the law and ODE. And I think that these changes will reflect a more effective way of getting data and to administration and parents, and just a more smooth operation once we get these guidelines down. So what needs to be done? Creation of a deadline spreadsheet, which we already have in place. We've already identified a lot of the students who payment in lieu can be offered. Careful documentation is always a must that we have to have even before this was done. So, and a presentation to the board includes rationale, details, discussion for each student. Level of detail may vary depending on superintendent powers assignment for determinations of impractical transportation. So a lot of these things were already determined for a lot of these kids, so the new ones will just have to start fresh and get that to you. And then we prepare the letters and sent to the school and ODE, and consider payment in lieu amounts in line with the new minimum amounts. And I know that we kind of jumped ahead on that last year with getting some of these folks in. So here's just a little brief of a timeline. In May, we'll have the board determination of payment in lieu amount for the 21-22 school year. May and June of 22, we'll continue to approve for new students as they come in and out. July, determination of 22-23 school year. 22-23 school year, the board continued approval of payment in lieu students. And then that just keeps on going on and on.
So I think one of the things here is next month we'll be asking to determine the payment in lieu amount, and so there will be a proposed resolution in regards to that. We are trying to transition. In the past, we really were looking more at a per school basis as opposed to a per student basis. So we're transitioning to that, and so on the next slide we'll show you a couple of the resolutions to get us to this new procedure. But after you determine that payment in lieu and you determine the students, which we have already earlier this year, we're just wanting to clean it up. Then after that, you'll be continuing to approve payment in lieu students as they enroll in their non-public schools. One of the things here that's new this year is that the non-public schools are supposed to notify us in April of their start times and end times, so that we can then go through the determination of practicality. Honestly, at this point, we're still collecting that information. So from that standpoint, once they provide us the information, we have to provide a determination of practicality before the end of July. So that's where we are now. If schools in the future provide that information by April 1st, we'll have to determine that within 60 days of that time that they provided. So it's still a learning process, I think, for a number of the non-public schools too, of House Bill 110. And so just to stress a little bit more the next steps at the May board meeting, we do need to just update the approval of the payment in lieu students, and you'll see this chart at the bottom of the schools that we determined to be impractical, or the students that attend those schools, and the list of those students is on file at our transportation office. So we'll approve those students, and then in the future, then there's we need to finalize that in lieu of payment, which what we're suggesting is to do the 50%, similar to our surrounding districts, which would be $538.55. And then we're recommending that we pass a resolution providing the authority to the superintendent to make payment in lieu decisions during the times between the board meetings. So once a student enrolls, theoretically that next day, we need to make a determination of whether we're transporting that individual student. So this resolution provides you, the superintendent, the authority to determine that. And then at the next board meeting, we'll have a resolution for that individual student to formalize it from the board. So that's some of the nuances or the additions to House Bill 110. Any questions on the process or?
Mr. Welker, if you can just address the difference between a student who may be attending, say, St. Rita's, and a student who may be a student with disabilities who has, the parent has asked the state for a John Peterson or an autism scholarship, and whether or not we would be transporting those students. You mentioned, or Mr. Desmond mentioned, the shared services with other schools, but there's a difference if we're talking about scholarship students, isn't there?
Yes.
Yes.
So can you explain that a little bit?
But with scholarship students, it really has, we have to transport those folks.
All right, so let me clarify.
Go.
So with a John Peterson or autism scholarship, once they determine that that's where they're going, then they actually are provided a sum of money for accepting that, and also that includes that they have to that payment includes transportation. So they are actually excluded from this payment in lieu calculation. So really the situation is looking at the non-public students who are not on autism scholarship or John Peterson. Those are the students that we're determining for payment in lieu, or in a number of our instances, as Superintendent Powers mentioned, St. Rita's. We have, I think, 4 buses currently going to St. Rita's. We have a couple smaller number of populations, but we combine them, like Hudson Seton would be one that we combine with some other non-public schools, because they all start at generally the same time. We're able to load a fuller bus to go to those sites. So that's some of the things that we try to do, because we do take it very seriously that we want to provide comparable services for non-public students, just like public students. Everyone's a resident of this district, and we want to make sure that we're providing those comparable services.
Okay.
So everybody we try to get everybody to school as best we can with the facilities that we have and the resources. That's our goal. We want every kid to get to school and back.
Any other questions about our further discussion on the May resolutions? Okay.
It was exciting, right?
Board of Education, in addition to the information tonight, I sent you several documents last evening from the Department of Education that explains this in greater detail. Once you have a chance to read that, if you have any questions, please give me a call, and I'm happy to explain the rules as designated by the department.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board, for having me tonight. Thank you, Ms. Pollard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Desmond. Okay, next on the agenda is remonstrance. Do we have anyone for remonstrance? No blue cards?
No blue cards.
Okay. And we will jump into the business portion of our meeting without objection from my colleagues. We'll go ahead and read item H, Treasurer's Report. H1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with Industrial Appraisal Company, 2 Gateway Center, 603 Stanwick Street, Suite 1450, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15222, for the periodic physical inspection and update of school district fixed assets for financial and insurance purposes at a cost for professional fees of $14,100 as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expense. There's nothing.
Is that separate from?
There's no That's just a mistake, right?
Yeah, it's just,
Just continue. Right? You don't have to handle that separately.
right, yeah,
We can just do
Okay.
I and H
Sure.
and I together?
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And I'll move on. I, action items, personnel. I1, that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificate licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. 2, that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And 3, that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Do I have a motion for items H1 and I, 1 through 3?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Travis. Any discussions?
Marty, what's the frequency of the appraisal? Is it 3 years, 5 years?
It's every 5 years they'll come in, they do an update. The updates also is, it's twofold. One, it updates the inventory for the financial statements, so they don't get too far out of, sync with what their actuality is. And then the other piece of that is, it's for insurance purposes. Insurance companies want those values updated, so we do that, and, we do that probably in about a 5-year cycle, 5, 6 years usually. They'll come in and re-go through all the stuff, the Chromebooks and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, it
They-
says fixed assets, so they actually go through and.
Yeah, they'll go through the buildings and they did the service before, so the tags are on it, so they just look for the tags.
Asset tags, yeah.
Right. So they'll just go back through and check those tags and then just revalue things.
Okay. I was gonna ask that question, so.
Yeah, I was trying to remember if it was 3 or 5.
5.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. And those items pass 5-0. We'll move on to action items J, 1 through 10. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read them together. J1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the removal of IBM Correcting Selectric 3 typewriter from inventory located at Twinsburg High School, the asset tag TCSD 000247. Equipment is obsolete. 2, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an agreement with Applewood Centers Incorporated for one student to attend the Gerson School. Tuition cost is $10,350.56 for the remainder of the 21-22 school year per the contract sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expenditure. 3, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a service agreement with Education Alternatives for one student to attend Education Alternatives for the remainder of the 21-22 school year as sent to the board under separate cover. Prepaid tuition is $8,131. However, the district has a credit of $8,512, which will cover the tuition. 4, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding with the Twinsburg Education Association regarding the development of lesson plans for AP Physics and Physics by Shannon Thomas during the approved leave of Molly Sauter as sent to the board under separate cover. 5, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the adoption of the summer reading requirements for the 2022, requirements for 2022. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11th, per the attached exhibit. 6, that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts Enrique's Journey, the young adult adaptation by Sonia Nazario for the 9th grade honors language arts course. Reading list for Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11th, 2022. 7, that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts A Long Way Home, a memoir of Saru Braille for 9th grade honors summer reading list for the Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11th, 2022. 8, that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts and purchases Integrated Chinese Volume 3 by Chen Su. For Chinese 3, offered at Twinsburg High School, the adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11th, 2022. And 9, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the extension amendment with the National School Boards Association, 1680 Duke Street, Floor 2, Alexandria, Virginia, which provides a no-cost amendment to the consultative agreement regarding the district-wide equity implementation plan. The period of performance is amended to reflect an end date of December 31st, 2022, and is an extension of the period of performance only, and no additional fees are attributed to this extension as sent to the board under separate cover. And 10, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the separation agreement with John Fisher as sent to the board under separate cover. Do I have a motion for items J 1 through 10? So moved by Mr. Felber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Any discussion?
I might just want to thank the curriculum committee one more time, Mrs. Farthing and the staff that brought forth all of these materials. It was a very productive meeting.
Excellent, excellent. And I do want to make a note, J1, I didn't know we had a typewriter still.
I
Yeah.
think the assets have been stoned.
It's 2022, but okay. Surprised to see that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes, and that item passes 5-0. Next is item J11 and 12. J11, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts and purchases American Government Stories as Stories of a Nation, the Presidential Election Update by Bedford, Freeman, and Worth at the cost of $15,114.02 for a class setup plus a 6-year online access based on current enrollment for the American Government course offered at Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11, 2022, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a permanent improvement in expenditure. And then 12, that the Twinsburg Board of Education adopts and purchases Integrated Chinese Volume 2, Shang Sui, at the cost of $5,258.90 for a class set plus 2-year online access based on current enrollment for the Chinese 2 course offered at Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on April 11, 2022, as sent to the board under separate coverage. This is also a permanent improvement expenditure. Do I have a motion for items J11 and 12? So moved by Mrs. Crawford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Travis. Any discussion?
I would just like to say that American Government book, I was impressed by it. It had a lot of the current stuff that we're dealing with in the world, especially with the stuff that happened in 2020. So I think it's a really good investment with our school.
I agree. Excellent.
Awesome. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. And that item passes 5-0. And next is J13, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the purchase of one 2021 Ford F-350 pickup truck at a cost of $41,225 as sent to the board under separate cover. This pickup truck will be purchased from Sarchoni Ford, 1668 Street, Route 44, Randolph, Ohio. This is a permanent improvement expenditure. Do I have a motion for J13?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Crawford. Any discussion? Mr. Welker, kind of explain a little bit more about
Yeah,
this purchase?
just excited to replace a 2006 truck. So,
Wow.
want to thank John Summers as well. He worked real hard at searching to get a price that honestly we had quotes at 49,000 government pricing, and this is government pricing at 41, and just very fortunate that it's still on the lot. So we're excited.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. That item passes 5-0. Next is miscellaneous. Do we have anything for miscellaneous?
Yes. Our band, you know, the little prejudice with our band group here.
I knew it was
Had
coming.
a wonderful concert with the concert band, the symphonic band, the jazz band, but we do want to send out one half of the Board of Education, very special wishes to our symphonic band. Friday night, they'll be traveling quite a ways from here is what, I'm not quite sure exactly the location, but they will be competing at the state competition. So we wish them the best of luck in that endeavor. I'm sure they're going to do wonderful.
Is there anything else for miscellaneous?
No?
Okay. So next is executive session. And we do have a need to go into executive session. So the Board of Education will enter into executive session at 8:03 to discuss employment and compensation of public employees as per Board of Education Policy 0166A, to discuss with the board's legal counsel disputes involving the board that are subject of pending or imminent court action as per Board of Education Policy 0166D, and to review negotiations with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of employment as per Board of Education 0166E. I will make the motion to go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes.
Okay, we are now in executive session, and I do not anticipate that we will conduct further business once we reconvene. Thank you. Good evening.